Rustad. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CoreTactic, and really excited to talk about this topic because it's near and dear to my heart. Building a startup is not an easy thing to do, and I know there's some people on the call that have done it, and it's quite a challenge. There's a lot of stress involved with starting a startup. You end up turning the startup into your child, and so you're constantly working. There we go. So you're about to go on a wild ride. So my advice for you is that I want to make sure that you stop and smell the roses. You want to definitely find time to kind of take a break as you're getting ready to roll things out in the work that you're doing. So I'm going to go through and at a high level talk about the steps, kind of the mental steps that I went through. And then I'm going to give you practical advice, kind of step by step, in areas that you need to focus on based on the weeks. So there's some scheduling stuff here too. Okay, so lots of little letters. But the first thing, we look at to the far left, who are you? What do you like to do? That's the most important thing. You're obviously not going to want to start a startup doing something that you find boring, right? So for me, I loved coaching. I loved coaching people. I loved helping people with resumes and jobs and interviews and preparing them for kind of their future career. And so I turned that into a job. So think about, what you like to do. And typically it's something that you completely lose track of time with. So like when I'm coaching, I'll go over, like I'll completely lose track of time. How can you commoditize what you like? So step 2 is really kind of what do you want to sell? What type of services, what types of products? And then, who are your competitors? So that's step 3. So now that you know who you are, what you want to do, what you're going to sell, then who is going to compete against you? And the big thing there that I've learned in my past is that you have to be what we call inimitable. And inimitable means that it is hard to copy. So your startup must be very difficult to recreate. That will stop competitors. Okay. For example, let's see, what are those shoes? Crocs. When Crocs first came out, nobody else had them in the market. And nobody else could reproduce it. They couldn't reproduce the material, the longevity of the product. And so they did a great job. They came up with something that was inimitable. Next is file formation paperwork. So you're going to want to work with a lawyer or a company like LegalZoom to make sure you're filing your paperwork. I do recommend an LLC, a limited liability corporation, because that will protect your personal assets. If you make a big mistake and cost somebody some money, you have to have insurance, but also this prevents them from going through and taking everything in your company and then also taking all of your personal stuff. So from my understanding, I'm not a lawyer though, so make sure you're checking with one. You're going to want to build online presence, and you're going to want to start looking at tools. So how can you automate? How can you make this easier, better, faster? Because you're going to want to grow. So you need to build it for the future. If you feel like this is a long play, you're going to have this company going on forever, you need to build it for the future. So the big thing there is you want to get the right tools. Keep that lawyer handy because you're going to need agreements. You're going to need contract agreements, partnership agreements, a master service agreement, a statement of work. You're going to need a lot of contracts. So you want to definitely stay close to the lawyer. I brought one in that I have a personal relationship with. I trust him, and so look for that type of person. And then the second to last item there is provide pro bono products or services. So when you set up your business, you're going to have customers. You're going to be selling them something. There is a process you're going to go through. Test that process on pro bono is my recommendation. So I contacted friends that didn't have jobs. I contacted, people that needed some kind of general help, and then I provided services for free at the very beginning, just so I can see, like, does the intake form work? Okay, scheduling, how does that? Okay, that's going to go this way. So that really helped. And then your business is open. So piece of cake, right? Total piece of cake. So just a little bit more detail. I won't go through this word for word, but some questions that you want to answer. Innovators tend to start startups. So if you're an innovator, entrepreneur, you like creating things, you like the art of the possible, what is next, you're probably a good person for a startup. I always ask my clients too, what type of work do you want to do right before you retire? That typically is the job that we need to get you into at some point in your life, right? And so if you can turn what you love to do into a business, you can work that into retirement. And some people do, and they work just part-time. The other thing I think is really important is to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Okay, so this is mine that I did. My strengths have been, public speaking, networking, presentations. Weaknesses, I tend to get overwhelmed when there's a lot of detail. So I'm a very high level person, process person. I like to see the big picture. I kind of want to know strategically how we're moving. I'm not great at the detail. If you give me a spreadsheet with 50,000 lines or rows, I'd be bored out of my mind. So I have to hire people and bring people on that are better than I am at that. And I'll talk a little bit about a balance strategy. And so that's what I do for staffing, is a balance strategy. I have a lot of energy, and some threats that I was thinking about is, will I miss an important detail? Because I don't like details. That could be a threat. Who are the competitors? What information do I have to learn in order to have a business? So that balance strategy, very, very important. We are not perfect people. If you are horrible at talking to people and public speaking and presentations, and you're an introvert, then you probably need an extrovert to have on your team just to handle that. Or if you want to do it. Practice, get used to what you're doing, and get better. You can get better with some of this stuff. The other thing that I find, and it's kind of cathartic, when you are stressed, you're not sleeping, you need to write up a plan, but maybe it's just steps that you need to do the next day. That is very helpful for your mental health because you can cross them off and it feels really good. So I strongly recommend a plan. Don't just run into it and drink 10 cups of coffee and just like do a bunch of stuff. You want to be logical, think through this, plan out how it's going to go. And back on the balance, that's really I already kind of walked through that. So Renee, I don't know if any of you have met Renee. I think some of you have. She's an executive assistant, and she really helps to run the business. And so Renee and I are launching the business, and I can hear her screaming in the background. What was that, Renee? What?
Are we sure we're ready, Nick? Wait.
There, yeah. So she's screaming out the window. Oh my God, are we going to do this? What's happening? So, yep, we're going to do it. Okay, so weeks 1 and 2, this is where you're going to figure out what you want to do, come up with your name. You want to make sure that domain name is available online so you can have a website and email address. There's a lot of fraud out there with domain names. I know of GoDaddy and Network Solutions, they tend to be really good service providers, but they will try to sell you stuff you do not need. So again, you might want to check with a lawyer just to make sure what you're buying is really needed. Okay, they have all these add-on packages, and what should be 20 bucks a month can turn into 100 in 2 seconds. If you're not finding a .com address that makes sense for your business name, I definitely would change your business name. The .com is still the main one that everybody uses for business. I can't get our .com because somebody's holding it hostage and they want $3,000 for it, and I'm not going to pay that. So we're just going to use the .net for now, and then eventually hopefully I can get it. Your elevator pitch, we work on this with clients that need career coaching. How do you sell yourself? When you're running a startup, you are the salesperson, and so you need to have an elevator pitch. And typically an elevator pitch has 3 components. It has the 3 things that you're most proud of in your life. Okay, and so they could be things that the company's accomplished or why we formed the company. Maybe maybe we just won an award. Okay, so those types of things you want to roll into your elevator pitch and practice it. Get a friend. Sign up for some career coaching with us. We'll help you. You can practice. Now, money. money, 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 money. Don't start a business if you have no backup savings. That's my recommendation. Some people do it and they're successful, fine, but it would give me a cramp. So I don't advise that. I would plan for at least 6 months of expenses, and that includes your personal expenses with home, like mortgage, car payments, student loan payments, and then also start to plan out your expenses for your business. You definitely want to track your P&L. You're going to want to have a balance sheet. You want to figure out kind of what's going on there. And then I think obviously it's really important to have a rainy day fund. Your business is going to have a downturn at some point. It's important for you to have a business checking account and a business savings account. Some people also have, they throw some extra money into ETFs just so that there's something else going on to help make some kind of passive revenue on the side. Okay, so seed money is really important. And then also, you know, when you're looking at your personal expenses, there could be stuff that could cross over. So maybe you pay for a cell phone, but you're using it primarily for business. Well, then that's going to be a business expense you can write off. So start tracking those things and use them to forecast off your future expenses. Now, there's a lot of other funding out there, and if you sign up for a loan or a grant, your phone is going to ring 500 times because they will sell you down the river. So just so you know, I would be very careful about signing up for anything financially related unless you talk to an expert, maybe a financial advisor, or you really know where the source is coming from. So I live in Minnesota. We're in Hennepin County. Hennepin County has a program called Elevate, and they provide free services for startups, which is great. We had 25 hours with a marketing firm, and they came up with a marketing plan for us. So those are types of systems or programs that you definitely want to leverage. Another option, some people don't think of it, is a HELOC. So that's a home equity line of credit on your house based on the equity that you borrow against, and then you typically get it at a lower interest rate. Right now, of course, they're 7-8%, but much better than putting stuff on a credit card. So, and watch out for scammers. They're everywhere. You want to take every penny. So some other business expense considerations that you definitely want to think about. You definitely want to think about all the one-time purchases. You know, are you going to, do you need storage? That costs money. Does it need to be air-conditioned storage, heated storage, cooled or dehumidified storage? So you got to think about all those things. Business insurance, just get it. It's so cheap. And I think we have a $2 million policy and we pay $400 a year kind of thing. So there's going to be cost to form your LLC or your business. Social media ads, we've been looking around $100 to $300 a day. That's more on the high side. But it can get up there if you're doing Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can advertise on Pinterest and Instagram. I highly recommend keeping it virtual. Studies have been done that show that employees, contractors work a lot better in a virtual environment, and they're able to actually get more done. So really, really a good thing to stay virtual. So I have a story. This is story time now. This is my big F up when I started the business. So this whole AI thing, right? Everybody's thinking AI, artificial intelligence, is everywhere. It's being integrated into all of our tools. CRM platforms are getting it. We're going to start seeing it show up in all the Microsoft products. There's going to be a little AI button, use AI to write this document. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to check this out. So I went out to ChatGPT. They're free. So I've used that a little bit. But ChatGPT, the version I was using, only had data that was up to a certain point, like 5 years ago. So it wasn't super current. So I found this tool called Jasper. I'm sure Jasper's a great tool. I'm sure it's a great company. They had a free trial. I signed up. I forgot I signed up, and then they charged me $1,000 because I didn't read the fine print. It's really hard to get out of these expenses. You can try to work with your credit card company or your bank to see if you can get it reversed or something, but it's really tricky. So you want to be very, very careful with that because that can add up really fast. So some things, when you're looking at names, when you're looking at picking a good company name for your startup, some states do have guidelines on what types of names they prefer. You want to make your name very web friendly. It needs to be easy to say. It needs to be something that people can read and say it correctly without having heard it or read it before. A company name that I really like, and I think it's very creative, is Accenture. They used to be called Anderson Consulting, Arthur Anderson, and I think some of you know what happened there. But Accenture, they had a huge contest to come up with their new name, and they picked Accenture because it's accent on the future. CoreTactic is about helping people at their core with tactics to be successful. So that's why our logo is all these circles, because those are the tactics that surround you and your core to help you be successful. And also you want to make sure you pick a name that's good with your brand. When we get into weeks 3 and 4, that's when you're going to want to make sure you have an EIN, an employer identification number, tax number for your business. Make sure you have business checking. You want a debit card. I recommend that. It could help you with some credit card fees. And you want to order your domain names. Again, be very careful of domain registration. There's a lot of hackers out there. And now you got to build your business plan. So you know what you want to do. You know what you want to sell. Now you got to think about all the bits and pieces. How are you going to market? Are you going to sell? What prices are you going to have? Are you going to offer discounts? Are you going to be more seasonal? Are you going to have products at certain times of the year? Are you going to track inventory? Is it more service-based instead of product-based? So there's lots of questions you need to answer there, and you definitely need a business plan. Again, it's one of those horrible, boring things that you just don't want to do because you want to get in and drive the new car. Well, you got to eat your Wheaties. You build that business plan because you're going to need it. You may need it at the bank if you're going to apply for a loan. You may need it working with other partners so that they can figure out how to best work with you. It's just very, very helpful. So things are now starting to get real. I was trying to find an angry looking bear, but I did draw some like blood kind of dripping out here. I'm not a great artist, so but anyway, my advice here is don't anger the bear. And the bear is your mental health. The bear is the complexity that you're creating. Definitely keep things simple. And what I mean is no crazy process. There's some IT folks out there, like, I don't know if I'm one of the, yeah, I probably am. There's some IT folks out there that could create very complicated forms and process and emails and automation and workflows. So we want to make sure we stay very simple. That can come later. You can get complex later. Weeks 4 and 5, things are really starting to heat up. So you're going to be talking to friends and family, especially if they have business background, get their feedback. If you want to start a board for your company, you can. I'm not yet ready to do that, so I have 2 business advisors. They're people that I know that have really strong business acumen, and they've been extremely helpful. So I send them stuff to review. Look at this presentation. What do you think of this? And they give me lots of great ideas. So the other thing is, keep the lawyer close, make sure they're looking at your business plan. You need to find a hoster probably for your website. We host ourselves because of my IT background in Accenture or in Azure, Microsoft Azure. You need to also figure out, do you need any licenses to operate? Do you need any online forms? Do you need to order business cards? Now would probably be the time. And along with all this, what are your colors? What's your logo? So you want to think about all those types of things. If it's business related and you want business people to purchase products from you, LinkedIn is the answer. We have business products. We also have personal products like life coaching. And so we're going to advertise on LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, and probably Instagram. We're not quite sure about Twitter right now at this point. Okay. And then as we go beyond week 6, one thing that's going to help with social media is a publishing tool. You can write your posts, schedule them, and it will automatically post them on whatever platform you need. We use Buffer. It's a great tool. I haven't had any issues with it, and it gives us reports, and it also tracks how many people read it or like it. or comment on it. So that's really good. There's something out there called lead pages. So you could create a little website, one for kind of each product that you're trying to sell. That's a good thing too. I definitely recommend you connect with your Better Business Bureau office. You'll have to pay a fee, but get listed. It's really good to have that out there. It builds confidence. You need to build your brand legitimacy. How are you going to show that you're legitimate, that you're not a fly-by-night operation? And part of that is to get listed with the Better Business Bureau. It helps with how people are perceiving you. There's, of course, local chamber of commerces. There's also national chamber of commerces. And I found one for LGBTQ businesses. So I'm filling all the paperwork out and we'll be part of that Chamber of Commerce out of Washington, D.C. And then we're also part of the local one. And another, we're part of Quorum as well, which is a local Twin Cities LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Partnerships are good. This is kind of where you want to start thinking about that. It's always good to have partners. Maybe there's companies that you've worked with in the past that would be willing to have their logo on your website. Those things are really important. And then, as your business starts to grow and you start to make some money, do some goodwill. I would definitely donate to some type of cause. If you can find a cause where what I call a double dipper, there's two things you get. If you can find maybe like Minnesota Public Radio, for example, if I donate on a monthly basis and I'm a sponsor, I get my name read out loud on the radio and I get published in different things. So it helps to build the brand. So we get clients and it builds the brand. So that's our twofer. It really does kind of, I think it can capture greater value in the market if you're showing that you're doing pro bono work. So whatever you're doing for free, good cause, make sure you're telling people about it. It's not bragging. It's just informing people that, your company's doing good work and they're going to want to work with you. Volunteer for local events where you can talk about your business because you got to practice that elevator pitch, right? So look for those types of opportunities where you can talk through stuff with people. So just some ideas on kind of 3 different types of businesses that you can form and kind of some of my recommendations. Again, I'm not an expert. I've set up 2 businesses that have been so far successful. So I do have some stuff to share. Professional services, again, you're going to need agreements, insurance, all that kind of good stuff. Product, if you're going to sell a product, something physical, then you definitely want to look at IP, especially if you develop that product or modify it in any way. And there's potentially, terms and conditions. There's potentially more insurance for product liability. So you might need a product liability attorney. I used to work at a law firm in downtown Minneapolis called Faggry. They do a lot of IP and product liability work. So if you need a lawyer, that would probably be a good firm to go to. In the retail space, so retail, you got a physical location, there's going to be a lease agreement. You obviously want to keep that as low in terms of the term as possible. Because we just had this big pandemic go through and a lot of companies signed 10-year, 15-year leases. And they haven't been using their office space. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment there to take a break and see if there's any questions. Ask me anything. Feel free to come on camera. Feel free to go off mute if you don't want to be on camera. It's cool. Or type it in the chat. What questions can I answer on starting a startup?
Hey, Nick, it's David.
Hey.
A couple questions great presentation. A couple questions in terms of like things that are helpful. When you were creating your logo or your brand name, did you use different websites that help you do that?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there's a lot of websites out there. There's a lot of websites that will create logos for you, but they will charge you a lot of money. So what I recommend is Canva. We use Canva for all the graphic design work that we do. And Canva is great. They have pre-programmed logos, and then you can go in and tweak them and make them your own. So Canva is awesome. Great website for that. And then obviously you want to search your competitors and make sure your logo is not similar, because that could be bad. So thanks, David.
Yep.
Any other questions? Anyone thinking about starting a business? Want to chat through it a little bit?
What's the most challenging part to open a business?
Yeah, challenging part. That's a good question, Jenny. I alluded to a little bit of it earlier. You know, you will not have an intention of creating your child, but you will create your child. You know, your business will become your child. And I caught myself working 12, 14 hours a day. I would sit at my desk here and work, and then I'd go sit in another chair and watch TV and work until like midnight. And so I now have certain days of the week where I will not work after hours. And I also am trying to avoid any work over the weekends. It's really hard for me though, because my mind is constantly going. I'm constantly thinking of things we could do, and I can't go do them right away. So that's frustrating. So I'm writing notes and making lists. But that's been the biggest challenge, Jenny, for me is, you know, how to maintain good balance and how to, you know, make sure my mental health doesn't suffer. So great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. What other questions are out there? Okay. Has anybody on the call started a startup before or has one running right now?
I do. Hey, it's Jeff. I was actually going to ask you a question, Nick.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with my own, you know, adventure, starting business, my own journey. But, you know, how have you done with time management? Because I know that's a very that's a very hard thing, difficult thing to kind of get your wrap your arms around. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, time management is tricky. You need a plan. Okay, so one thing that I do, and with Renee, we do it every morning. We get together, we have our coffee, we spend an hour every morning, and we go through what are we going to accomplish that day. We're also using Microsoft Planner to keep track of all the tasks that we're thinking about, what's in motion, what has been rolled out, what are we monitoring, and so we have a planner board for all of that. So that really helps, I think, with time management. The other thing is find somebody that you live with or that knows you well, and make sure that they tell you if you seem extremely distracted, or you're not showing up for events, or you're canceling your plans. Somebody needs to step in and tell you that, because you may not realize that you're doing it. Keep your plans going. Keep everything going. Also, before you start a startup, if you're not exercising, start. Get into yoga, meditation, running, weightlifting, whatever works for you. But it's good to have an outside activity. And plus, get a good gym, and then you can get a steam room and a sauna and just go relax. It's always good. Thanks, Jeffrey, for the question. When did you start your business?
No, thank you for the responses. I started, you know, I've been going since June, but I officially opened up, I believe it was November. So the lights are on, the website's there, but in any case, yeah, it's been great. And you helped too, right? So thank you for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. How did you manage stress through starting the business, Jeffrey? Did you have a lot of stress?
Not
or
a
were you
lot,
able
but
to?
no, well, I love what you said about having an outside thing, something that you can blow off steam, whether it's for me, absolutely physical activity. You know, I'm into martial arts, and so teaching and learning kung fu has helped. But on the other end of that, I know Jenny talked a few weeks ago about things that you know, kind of keep your well-being in check, and so I'm also meditating and you know, working on that as well every day, trying to just keep it constant and balanced. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you need it because it can take over your life. So get your plans in place now to prevent it. Any other questions? I just saw, I think, a couple more folks joined. We are recording this and we'll make it available after the meeting. I'll also be sending the deck out too, because I have some helpful links for folks. So now I'm not going to read this verbatim, but you know, part of your business plan, you need to come up with a mission statement and a vision statement. Really important, and they're different things, and sometimes people get them confused. Mission is what we're going to accomplish. What are we going to do? Vision is what is going to happen in the future that we are trying to affect. Okay, so our mission is that we want to work with everybody and make sure that we're fostering inclusivity, belonging, and opportunities for everybody. And we want to work with folks that maybe haven't received the best advice in the past. They haven't received the best coaching. They haven't had access to the systems that a lot of very successful people have. And so we'll work with minorities and veterans and just try to help them, see what we can do. So that's our mission statement. And then our vision statement, what we want in the future that we're trying to affect right now, is we want companies to really fully understand that with a diverse workforce, you will have better ideas. You will have different ideas. And if I don't know if you've ever followed what happened to Atari, Kodak, there's been a ton of other companies that have all kind of either gone out of business or they're hanging on by a thread. They didn't innovate. And they didn't probably make sure that their workforce could come up with ideas. And part of innovation is encouraging those ideas. And so we really want to make sure that the landscape within our companies is truly representative of the diversity in society. It's really important. I've had just a great time working in groups where they're really extremely diverse, because you never know what kind of ideas could pop up. And then a little bit more on our values. So we believe in honesty, integrity, compassion, professionalism, and philanthropy. That's really our values. And they align nicely with coaching and with helping people better themselves. We'll be honest with you. Please be honest with us. We believe in integrity and ethics. We want to do the right thing all the time for you, especially the client. And we'll have compassion. We'll be professional, and we do believe in philanthropy. So we have plans right now in the next year or two to start a foundation to help folks that are on low income with coaching. If we can prevent people from losing their jobs and becoming homeless or getting into a shelter situation, we can help society. So that's a hefty goal, but that's what the foundation is going to be focused on, is how do we prevent or curb homelessness. We have some specials running right now, and it wouldn't be a great webinar without some advertising. So we have a holiday 99 special right now. So if you need a life coach, personal items, finance, relationships, good habits, things like that, $99 an hour. And then we're also doing a holiday giveaway with 2 free packages that include coaching, resume revamp, career assessment. There's some other stuff in there too. Each package is valued about $900. So nice little package for someone, especially who here has a New Year's goal or intention for next year. What are you planning to do? Maybe you need some coaching, some help. And then I'm going to send this out. There's 3 links here. If you want to use any of them, you'll get discounts on these products. And that's it. So thank you, everybody. Any other final questions? I'll hang out for a little bit. Cool. Thanks, Jeffrey. Any other questions? Well, thanks, Jenny. Okay, well, we can go ahead and wrap it up. I will put my email address in the chat, and if anybody ever wants to hit me up for coffee, or you want to talk about business or startup, just let me know. After this session, there's going to be a feedback form that we're going to send out. Please complete the feedback form. And thank you so much for your time and attention. Talk to you later.